Today we are going to be discussing the African parent, Olabisi Ola-soetan, aka the secret place wife. What are the traits, common traits of African parents that you know?
Slapping you when it's uncalled for.
Actually, I have a confession based on what you just said.
I'm an African parent.
But where do you draw the line of?
At the end of the day, you're going to do what you want to do. And my mom be like, "Oh baby, don't complain." Because I remember that when my sister pierced her nose, my mother almost died.
Friend and husband and lover and father of my children.
Wow. Once you just, freaky the account.
That's freaky. Hi there, thank you for joining us. I am Adetoun Jegede and this is Not Just Talk. Today we are going to be discussing the African parent. How do you deal with them? How do you disagree with them without offending God? I'm sure so many of you have many experiences. And I'm here with my amazing friend and sister, Olabisi Ola-soetan, aka the secret place wife, and my dear husband.
Friend and husband.
Friend and husband and lover and father of my children.
Wow.
Anyways, so I have one question for BC. I think I have two questions for you. Two questions
Okay.
for you guys actually. So the first one is I know that you're a marriage counselor and I know that you are very good at that. But I also know that a lot of people can be skeptical when they know that this person that wants to counsel me is young. What does she? I've actually been in a meeting. I mean, because of the kind of relationship we share. I've been in a meeting where somebody actually said the first time she wanted to register for her course, she was like, am I sure I really want to do this? I've been married for 18 years. Why should I come and listen to this young person? So how does that make you feel? And I'm sure you get that all the time. What's it
Thankfully,
like?
I'm even older now. So I'm getting old and it's getting better. Now I'm even getting too old. I'm like, wait, I'm young. Don't make me old. But I guess, at the beginning, it used to feel like, wait, what? But I feel like God really helped me. One of the ways that he helped me was he made me, it was one of my own skepticism at the beginning. Say, will they listen to me? One of my excuses why I don't want to do this, And I remember that God actually led me to somebody. I didn't mean to counsel her. She had been married at the time maybe for 12 years. She was supposed to be a friend that I just met, and we got talking, and then she started sharing with me things that, according to her, she had never shared with anybody. I remember she couldn't even go home. We were in her office. We left her office. She was like, "No, we can't finish." She drove me all the way to my house. We couldn't go to my house because if we got to my house, then I would have gotten home, and I need to get down. We went to like a mall or like a supermarket, and we parked there. She called my husband and said, "I have your wife. I'm bringing her home. She's with me." And I remember leaving her that day, and I'm like, "Okay, God, I see what you did there." Which was before that time, my excuse was like, okay, you know what, maybe young people, old people, they don't listen to me. And that day God was like, nah, actually they will listen to you, and the people that have been sent to you will listen to you. So I'm not really bothered, to be honest. If somebody says you're young, maybe it's just not me that was sent to you. Do you understand? So I'm not really bothered anymore.
So what would you say to a young person who feels like she has the gift, she has the skill, but she's still considering her age?
I'll just say do it. Like, do it. When you do it, people will get along eventually. Also, you don't need them to validate you. You don't need them to believe in you. Why should they believe in you? Why should somebody who has been married for 30 years, for instance, now believe that I have their solution? So they are free to doubt. It's their human right to doubt. It doesn't validate me. Do you see? But it's okay that they are skeptical, that they are doubtful. Do you see? So when they come, I can then say, okay, you know what? Do I have what it takes to make this grandmother who seems in front of me, who can actually give birth to me? Do I have what it takes to make her feel comfortable? Do I have what it takes to make her feel okay? So believe in your gift, right? And eventually, when they come, put your gift to the test,
So
put it
just
on the table, and
basically-
it will eventually sort things out. They look at you and they're like, oh, actually, they will even forget that they doubted you. It's at the end, when you have solved their problems, say, you know, I almost didn't want to come.
So just work on yourself.
Work on
deliver
yourself.
value.
Exactly.
When you deliver value, nobody will be speaking English.
Exactly.
Value is a universal language.
Yes,
Benny.
value is a universal language. I like
That's
that.
right.
Thank you, Mr.
It's the
Jegz.
Jegz of Africa.
All right, because of time, I'll just ask you one simple question. I was going to ask you so many questions before, but just tell us one thing about you that most people don't know.
One thing that most people don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I can sing.
Okay.
That's true.
Most people don't know that.
No, most people don't know actually.
Okay.
That
Even
I
I
try.
forget sometimes.
Yeah, I think somebody is saying very well there. But
Yeah.
I can, at least
So
I can.
when should we expect your
Your
debut
album or single.
Okay, so my album, expect it 2022.
This is 2022.
Yes, sometime in 2022.
No problem. All right, Mr.
Jegz.
Jegz.
Jegede, Mr. Jegz, yeah. So, would you consider yourself an African parent? Let's start from there.
An African parent. What do you consider an African parent? If I know the definition,
Question
right?
over question.
Yes, no. If I know the definition, I'll be able to say yes or no.
You tell me, from the general perception of African parents, to an extent, would you consider yourself an African parent? What are the traits, common traits of African parents that you know?
Slapping you when it's uncalled for. African parent. Well, most people have the trait, right? If you were raised by one,
Yeah,
it doesn't totally leave your system.
I agree.
So you still have one or two traits of being an African parent. But I won't say I'm an African parent in that sense, who exaggerate a lot of things, who are overly worried. Corporal punishment is the order of the day, so I won't say that, but we have those traits, right?
I feel
they don't
like,
want to be embarrassed.
I feel like they also have a way of projecting their fears, their insecurities on their children. Yeah. So, Olabisi Ola-soetan,
Yes, ma'am.
who is the African parent, and would you consider yourself one?
I'm an African parent. I'm an African parent,
Yeah.
I'm just also somebody trying to catch it. African parents, their way or the highway, and their way always seems right. And maybe they're right, but also it doesn't mean that if we don't go that way, then it will be wrong,
It
or
doesn't
some
mean it's the
disaster
only
will
way out.
happen. So I mean, I can be an African parent sometimes, most of the time, when I'm like, eat your food, go there, sit down there, wake up, wake up, it's time to go to school. Once you go to school, focus on the task at hand, And my 5-year-old say, but is it your food?
Hey.
But is it your I mean, but are you the one?
Is it your
Really?
life?
Is your, I'm telling you. Then I will be like,
We'll talk
Calm
about-
down. Maybe you
Because
really need
it's
to
not my
calm
food,
down.
you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's about catching yourself for me. So I can say that in some instances my Africanness comes out because we're also very passionate. African parents are passionate about their children.
Yeah.
They don't joke. They want the best for that child. It's like a mini me project. Do you see?
Yes.
So that's a big definition of African parents. So we don't joke around. We know where we're going. We know where we're going with this one. But you have to be able to catch yourself. I catch myself.
Actually, I have a confession based on what you just said. I feel like I might also, be on that table of an African. Like there are times you just catch yourself and you're like, okay, maybe I'm being a little too hard on them. Calm down, be the Oyibo parents or whatever. Anyways, moving on. So today we're going to be talking about how to deal with an African parent without offending God. So now we're talking about our own parents, right? Not necessarily our children. I'm sure you've heard of stories, you've had experiences with African parents. Times when maybe they are trying to sell an idea to you that you are not necessarily interested in, and they are, forcefully trying to make you take their own decision. How do you deal with that without, you're trying to be a good child, a good daughter, a good son? You don't want to offend God. The Bible says you should honor your father and mother, but where do you draw the line of that honor? That's what we're going to be talking about.
Yes. Okay. So where do you draw the line of the honor? I guess there is a difference between obedience and honor. Do you see? So maybe as a child, I may have to obey. Do you understand? But also as I grow up, I have to be able to know certain things, because I'm now looking at my life. I'm thinking about some of the things I know about them. Sometimes when you think, you now see your parents, you said something, they project their fears. You have to be able to see it as fear first before you can say they are projecting on you. So now it's fear, but for that parent, it's just passion. It's just they want to see you turn out as the best. It's just love. So how do you then honor them in that regard? I always say empathy. Do you see? If you empathize with your parents, sometimes you would not even argue or disagree. Let me just share an experience. So there's a person that I know who had a fallout with his parent because he left the house, and since then their relationship was not great. So we were speaking and he was going to go home. So I said to him, when you do go home now, don't argue. Try and see. Just make sure you want to see their fears, their concerns. You say you want to do this thing they've never done before. They don't know how it's going to end. And they are trying to protect you from that fear. Can you empathize with that? Do you see? So that you don't feel like disagreeing is even anything you need to spend your energy doing. At the end of the day, you're going to do what you want to do. Do you see? But you can honor them in the process, by how you engage, how you present it, how you handle it. So I feel like empathy is a big deal, where if we're also wanting to see their concern, then I will not be too fast to say I don't agree. My mom and I, we had a very difficult relationship at some point in my life. So we went from best friends to always fighting. Why? Because I now thought I'm my own person. And we have the same personality, very strong, very we have to talk about this thing. So we're always fighting. As she's angry, I'll be angry. As I'm crying, she'll be crying. Like, stop crying, listen to me. I'm like, mommy, you listen to me. It's like I'm an adult and you are my child. He was so too much to walk. And my mom be like, obey before complain. I'll be like, you are not a soldier. She say obey. So what I've learned to do is to actually listen. This is not right. BC, don't do this. I'll be like, okay, really. Anyway, you may be right, but I want to try it. Do you see? So when they see that it's not like you are trying to establish that this is the way, you just want to find your own way, they won't have a choice. No African parents is really holding you. You are just not ready to do that thing. At the end of the day, nobody's holding you. They can tell you, don't do it. A rebellious child, would you not do it? Do you see? So at the end of the day, you can take it or not, but how you let it down slowly is where the honor is.
Thank you so much. So what I'm hearing from what you're saying is step aside, put things in perspective, try to see it in their own way. Right. Maybe it will it will definitely help you to handle the issue better. Thank you very much. Mr. Jegz, so I want us to use like a real scenario. Yeah. So let's say a lot of people have this particular issue in common. So let's say you want to go to a church and then your parents are like, no, you've been born into this particular church all your life. I won't let you go to this church. Or I heard about this case where the person was born into a particular denomination, no earrings, no trousers, no makeup and all of that. And then she grew up and she was like, no, I don't want to be this person. And the first day her mom saw her pierce her ears, her mom was crying like, what have you done and all of that. And she had to, stand up. So what do you do in such cases? Because we find out that most young people have these issues today. So how do you handle that? And then don't forget that you don't want to offend God based on what the word says. So how do you
that you should honor your father and mother? Okay, using scenarios. Well, the scenario I can remember is, when my mom said, go get a job. Right? So when my mom said, go get a job, there's an uncle of yours, and like she said, it's out of care.
Yeah.
Most African parents, when they see, they are used to comparing themselves. They see somebody get married, somebody's daughter gets married. I want the same thing. I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
So where they are coming from, there were a lot of comparisons being done. When you're doing well, people want to, that's why they borrow money, even if they don't have it, to buy ashwebi. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to look like they're not doing well in life. So it stems from a good place, most of what they're advising you to do. And they always project their limits on you. I failed at this, I tried it, right? I don't think you should. Go and get a job. Go do this. This is the path to go. If you could unwrap their motives, they want you to be better. They want you to succeed based on their own definition of success, right? And it's always evolving with the next generation. The definition of success changes a little bit more. Just like information, at the point information got obsolete, I think 50 years. And it got to a point, maybe 5 years. Now I think it's 1.5 years. Information gets obsolete. Based on what I read last, it gets obsolete about 18 months. Let's say 2 years. So even while you're in university, reading that course, a lot of things have changed. The textbook you're using has changed. So my mom wanted me to get a job, and I knew that I wanted to employ a lot of people. And God had put that capacity in me. It was a dream I had. So I just knew, once you can drill down to the baseline, she wants you to have money. And she wants you to look good. She wants you to do well. So while you are going to meet that uncle, while you are...
So you should still go to that uncle.
Oh, if whatever your hand finds to do it. The business I was doing then, it was seasonal. Sometimes we're on, sometimes we're off. So when there's money, that talk suddenly just reduces a little because you're being responsible. And that's another thing. If you're irresponsible at home, if you've been making decisions before then, you've been making decisions and they can trust your judgment on the decisions. There are a few things that they will insist on.
Yes.
They will just trust that judgment. So she said, get a job. So when I doubled my hustle, quote unquote, and things picked up, the thing suddenly died. Those conversations never came up again. And sometimes African parents, in this particular example, once you just, freaky their accounts, just give them, just put some money in their account. How are you? Have you eaten? The conversation just changes. They look at you as being more responsible. So I think once you can drill down to what is the why behind the why, and why are they trying, and once you, like you mentioned, once you can say, you know what, acknowledge it, right? Show some empathy.
Yeah.
Acknowledge it and say, oh, this is the reason we are saying this. Oh, yes, that's the reason I'm saying this. Okay, but this is what I'm trying to do. If I try it this way, well, if some of them, if you just explain the outcome or what the result you're trying to get,
Yeah.
and you say, you know what, if I don't get this result, I'll defer to what you're saying. But I just want to make sure that that inquisitiveness or that curiosity is not killed, right? So once you can explain and they say, okay, if it then works, both of you, you've honored God, you've honored them, and you were able to achieve your goal. That's my own.
Thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you.
Actually, from what you said, so I heard drill down to the baseline. So know what it is, what exactly they are trying to do. Also know that it's from a place of love, which is very, very important. And as you were talking, I was reminded of Philippians 1 verse 9. ERV, I love ERV, easy to read version. It says love deeply. Love deeply. When you love, it will give you knowledge and understanding. When you understand, it will help you to, know what you should do and what you should not do. Basically, understand what you should do. Basically, just pick your battles. So if you understand that this is coming from a place of love, it's because my mom loves me. Or, maybe to them, to you, it might not be love because you're like, this person is trying to force me to do what I don't want to do. Control me, exactly. But if you look at it, like you said, drill down to the baseline. Like Bisi said, have empathy. So know the cause. Consider
in that example that you shared, where you want to pierce your ear. What should you do?
So I'll go with what he said. Sometimes make them see. You will do what they are saying, but just make them see your own reason that because I think what the person did was she went ahead to pierce her.
Because I remember that when my sister pierced her nose, my mother almost died.
She went ahead. This lady went ahead to pierce her ears, and then she just explained to the mom that, "Mommy, this is you. This is me now. This is my faith, my relationship with God." She just tried to explain. The mother said, "Are you sure you know what you are doing?" She said yes, and it was just fine. So I think coming down to their level, trying to make them see that, I see what you mean. Please see what I mean too. This is what I'm trying to say. I know that some people can be difficult, but I believe that if we can put to use one of these things that we have said.
I mean, and at the end of the day, even if they don't see what you see, it doesn't mean they won't see it eventually. They don't have to see it today. That's another thing. A person that wants to honor God by honoring their parents must be focused on that. So if I do something that's against what my parents have laid down, why am I doing it? Am I just doing it because I want to rebel, because I want to go against them? So those are my own reasons. If I can drill down to the fact that this thing honors God, and I'm not trying to be rebellious, and I've tried to come to their level, at the end of the day, you have to be willing to carry on. Because sometimes they always catch up later.
Yes.
Sometimes their fears are allayed when everything is now manifesting in the way that they want to see it.
Yes.
Do you see? So you say you want to be a content creator, for instance. Your parents are like, get a job. What is a content creator? They love you, they don't understand it. But if you continue to do it while not being rebellious, not talking them down or anything, or just considering yourself better than them and being disrespectful, you can continue what you're doing. Do you see? Eventually, when you start to make it, when they see that you're doing well, they will be the one to forget what they're seeing, and then they will also be proud of you.
And they are chopping your money.
Exactly. So I think that at the end of the day, it can't stop you. If you want to pierce your ear, for instance, maybe believe in something different and you have gone ahead to do it, your parents can cry. Like my mother, she can go to the toilet and poo for one whole day, and like, my children have finished spoiling at the end of the day, but think about it now. Everybody lives with it. My sister did it. She did not mind. She carried on, and she stood in her face like, get on with the program. And my mom is okay now. Do you understand? She did not catch up in the end. So they'll catch up sometimes, but just know, am I honoring God?
Yes.
With my own choices.
Yeah.
So
I think that's very, very important. because at the root of it is your own personal journey
your
with
intention.
God, your relationship with God, your intention. So am I pleasing God with this decision? So it's really, in the long run, it's not really about that African parent. It's really about you.
And I think that point is what differentiates doing going overboard with some of your decisions. I think that is what keeps you anchored. So some people can take these same principles we are talking about, that make a decision, explain to them, to do what does not honor God, right? A lot of people will say, do your thing, they'll come around and they use that, to do what God does not want. So what you said, I think is my own take home personally, in trying to explain in the minor, in the disagreements, in the heated conversations, understand that what you are trying to do honors God. Be convinced yourself that what you're doing honors God. And I think that's the major differentiator that you said right there.
Yeah. Thank you very much, our wise friend.
Very funny.
So if you enjoyed our video, if you learned a thing or two, I'd like you to share in the comments and also share with a loved one. Remember, we just want to talk,
but it's not just talk.